the new season. Yes, this is the 5th episode of the Mugello 200 build. So let's get stuck straight into it and have a look what we're doing now. And yes, we are going to be using the SIP vape ignition system. Fantastic bit of kit. This is probably the best piece of kit that I rate at the moment for your Lambretta. It is absolutely superb. So this one that we're using is a fixed ignition curve. So I believe it's got like 1 degree of variation just from the low end up, and then you straight away you're on a fixed ignition. So it has got 1 degree of movement, as it shows you in the chart here, which in this graph that's actually in the book. But this kit is absolutely fantastic. If you want reliability and quality, this is it. This is, for me, #1 for me at the moment. So we're going to be fitting this on to our Mugello 200. So everything comes supplied with this kit. It is, a few parts have to be built and put together, like the stator has to be mounted onto the backing plate, and your fan has to be mounted onto the flywheel, but all the nuts come with it, already coated in Loctite, and it's just a matter of putting it together. A bit like a Lego set, mate, no problem. Okay, if you watched the last episode, you'll see clips of us doing some printing on the 3D printer. This is the airbox that we will be using on this Mugello. So it's going for a airbox to improve starting, better flow, and much cleaner. Right, well, I don't know whether it's me, but I can't seem to find the stator plate mounting screws. I was under the impression that they came with nice little diamond Allen bolts, but nevertheless, I've got my own, and I use these stainless steel ones, Diomeds, but with a shoulder on them to spread the load on your stator. These are really good, and they work quite well. So we'll be sticking them in. Right, I've more or less mounted the stator right in the middle, because what we'll have to do, we'll have to mark up all the markings, top dead center and 17 degrees that we're going to run it at, and then we're going to have to strobe it and move the stator plate to get the timing correct. So it really doesn't matter, and these will start with almost any timing anyway, as long as you've got some advance. Right. Got the original tab that I'm just going to use with that I've just dropped. That's all on. Let's mount our beautiful flywheel. Look at that. It's so nice, and it's actually this is a later one, and the machining's even better on this one than one of the early ones that I had on mine. So it doesn't matter one iota where you fit it, because we're going to put our own timing marks. These do come with some timing marks on the flywheel, if you can find them, but for me they're completely useless because they're so far away from the magneto that you can't do anything with them. So you really do need the timing marks on your actual flywheel. So then we're going to put on, doesn't matter where you fit it, stick it in and line up some holes. because we'll be putting our own timing mark in here. So anybody can put that bit in. Right, so now we've got all these nice little countersinks, which are good, and I do believe they've changed them to torque. Yep, so they're now torques on here, so we'll have to get the correct torque for it. Let's have a look. So all these screws in the flywheel, yeah, these torque screws, they all come with blue Loctite already on them. So it's just a case of putting them straight in. Right, so that's all on and fitted. So now what we're going to do is, our keyway faces, where the keyway is, that always a top dead centre, it more or less faces directly forward. So we drop the flywheel on, the keyway faces towards top dead centre, so we can feel the pistons more or less at top dead centre, so that's where we are. You can be precise if you want, but it doesn't really make much difference. Because what we're going to do is we're going to mark up on our flywheel here a arrow, so we've got a mark on the flywheel to work with. So we will get our nice little punch, mark up our flywheel where we want our top dead mark, maybe with something that's got a bit of life in it, because that's at it. Okay, no measuring required, and I'm going to just hold it on the side and punch myself a mark in it. So I don't know whether you can see that. I've punched a mark on the outer edge of it there. That's going to be our top, that's going to be that arrow on our flywheel that will line up with our top dead and our timing marks. So that can now just be dropped back on. Okay. So now, being as we've got all this off, we'll be able to use our a dial gauge on this for a change rather than the piston stop. So I'm going to set up the dial gauge and we'll use a dial gauge.
Like a bird on a tree, I'm just sitting here. I got time, it's clear to see. From up here, the world seems small. We can sit together. It's so beautiful, you and me, we're meant to be. The great outdoors, forever free.
Right, got the dial gauge set up on there, so now we'll just determine the top dead centre. So we'll just bring the piston up by rotating the flywheel clockwise, and it's still coming up. And there it is. So we'll back off a little and then forward until it just reaches the very top, and that is it. So that's our top dead centre, so that we can mark that up now on our mag housing to coincide with the line that we've made in the flywheel. So We've got our barrel piston on, that's just a dry build at the moment. This is all going to be stripped down, back down again. It's just been basically put together to mark up our top dead center and just to see how it fits without any issues. So this can all come back off again now, and we will start doing some work on the barrel and piston. Right, this is our barrel. We've not done any porting to it really. I've just took out the little Mickey Mouse ears and I've put in a, I'll just rip it out and show you, a decompression port. So it's had a decompression port fitted in. Let's get some light in there. If you can see that, that's better. So we fitted a decompression port, took the Mickey Mouse ears out, and that's all we're doing on the barrel. So now we're going to fit the exhaust stub. Right, so get myself out of the video. We've got the studs that are supplied from Tina Sachi. They're just going to go in some Loctite. And our little stud fitting tool, which is quite handy. Basically you put it in by hand. You can lock this off with an Allen key if you want to, but just fitting them in, it works quite well. That's it, they're in. So they're fitted in and Loctited down. Now what we're going to do is, so we don't have issues with manifold coming loose, we've got one of Tino's nuts and we've drilled it so we can put lock wire. So it'll be fitted and then it will be lock wired. So the lock wire goes through the end of the nut like this. So we've took the material out the inside, drilled a little hole in so the lock wire can pass up the side of the nut there. I'm not worried about matching stuff because it's not high performance and the gaskets are pretty close anyway. There's going to make any difference, it's going to make no difference whatsoever on this motor. It's not a GP bike, is it? So that's that done. So we'll drop our manifold on, which is a BGM one. Couple of washers, wavy washers supplied by our friend, and the first of the nuts. Now I need to drill the other nut now. I forgot, so we'll come back to this in a second. I'm just going to drill the other nut out. That's that drilled, and now all we're going to do is, with a tiny little tool on the Dremel, I'm just going to Dremel the inside to give enough space for the lock wire to pass up. Right, that's our other nut. Whiz that on and get ourselves a bit of lock wire out of here. good and tight. Okay, now let's stick our lock wire in. That one passes through there, and that will be twisted with the pliers. Okay, so now as the nut turns that way to loosen, we want the lock wire going opposite to it. So our lock wire is going around the back this way and then up through the other nut. Okay, we'll feed that in. Come on, baby. And then we'll put a few turns in that to stop it coming out. Back this way. Come on. And we'll just latch it onto the last bit of this. That gives that a good twisting up. And that's it, solid. So now the nuts can't undo themselves and your exhaust fall off. Unless the lock wire snaps, of course. So this is a really good way to improve reliability on your bike. Stub mount is really important, so there's no pressure. You don't get that pressure, and it takes out vibration from the stub here, and it makes the bike far more reliable. That's the end of the video, so thanks to all my subscribers and everybody following my channel. See you all later.